Waking Up to Serenity, Unlocking the Door to Emotional Sobriety by Angelo. Chapter 17. Summary. We've covered a lot of ground, so I think it would be useful to provide a summary of the key points from each of the chapters. This book is relevant for all those seeking emotional sobriety. It's not an alternative to 12-step recovery, but is instead intended to be a guide to help enhance our spiritual awakening. We always have the opportunity to progress from the spiritual kindergarten phase. Emotional sobriety implies humility, and genuine humility can only come about through a spiritual awakening. We have been placing far too much attention on the cart of our personal lives and overlooking the need to nourish the horse of our own spiritual well-being. All problems are personal. The only way to be free of personal problems is to let go of being a person. We need to cut the root of the personal ego self. The higher power cannot be seen, but we can build a useful framework using just 4 pieces of a conceptual jigsaw. Science tells us that the universe is vibrational and that the material world is a momentary appearance, just as a wave is a temporary appearance on the surface of the ocean. The material and spiritual realms are not distinct. The material world is a manifestation of the spiritual. Our experience of life is a virtual reality that takes place only in the VR headset of the individual mind. The truth of existence can only be found deep down within our own being. We are aware of whatever takes place in the individual mind. Awareness is primary, and the activity of the personal ego mind is secondary. Awareness is your actual experience. You are the awareness. Meditation is simply the practice of being aware of being aware. There are deeper states of being below the surface of the personal ego self. The 4 cushions represent staging posts on the spectrum of consciousness. The VR headset is in cushion 1, whereas individual awareness is at cushion 2, and universal consciousness is at cushion 3. The bondage of the personal ego self longs to be released back to its original state. The big picture that emerges is the same perennial wisdom that underpins all spiritual and religious traditions. Spiritual awakening is an inside job. The serenity and bliss in the depth of your being await your discovery. The spiritual toolkit provides everything that we need to undertake the task. The toolkit is freely available, costs nothing, and is utterly priceless. We need to use all of the tools, and especially the ones that we may have previously declined to use. We're seeking progress rather than an end result. We just have to keep on using the tools, just for today, one day at a time. Acceptance is the answer to all of our problems. The key message to understand is that the personal ego self is the problem. If we want emotional sobriety, then we have to accept that we must go further within our own being. There's no serenity to be found on the surface. The promises do come true. They are guaranteed if we work for them. They are the natural consequence of a spiritual awakening. And the promises also provide a useful checklist of how far we have come and how much further there is to go. A spiritual awakening is not an event. We gradually sink below the surface and exchange our house for a coral castle. We find that we can breathe underwater, and our experience of life becomes increasingly wonderful. There are many traps and obstacles to a spiritual awakening that keep dragging us back to the surface. If we are aware of the traps, then we can at least work to avoid them. We need to mind the gaps in our recovery. Miracles are not miracles in the ordinary sense of the word. Vibrational resonance is constantly at play. The law of attraction will certainly and unerringly bring you the conditions, environment and experiences in life corresponding with your habitual characteristic predominant mental attitude. We really do reap what we sow. The more we give, the more we will receive. The key to spiritual progress is the practice of meditation. It takes practice because we are so used to living life on the surface. We can choose to simply be. When we get to the bottom of the ocean, we realize that all of the waves on the surface are expressions of our own true self. The kingdom of heaven is within, and we have been given the keys of the kingdom. But having the keys does not mean that we gain entry. We still have to use the keys to unlock the door. If we are truly willing to let go, then all will be revealed. In the final paragraph of his writing in Alcoholics Anonymous, on page 164, Bill Wilson makes the following suggestion, quote, "Abandon yourself to God as you understand God." Close quote. My hope is that this book has given you a deeper insight into what he really means by this statement. And this is one of my daily prayers, which is a variation on the Buddhist metta prayer of loving kindness. Quote, "May all beings dwell in this one heart. May all be freed from suffering. May all be healed. May all know their wholeness. May all be happy and at peace." Close quote. It is my sincere wish that this becomes true for all of us. This brings us to the end of all that I have to share. May you awaken to your own true nature and be blessed with serenity and emotional sobriety. And a footnote at the end here. If you have found these chapters helpful, then please do share them with your fellows. The recordings are obviously available on YouTube, on the Angelo Publishing channel. Thank you.